What up, guys? McRib here, and today we're going to be working on a GR86. We're going to be replacing the OEM studs with ARP. Let me switch the camera around. Alright, so ARP. If you've been in the automotive industry, you know these are basically the leading manufacturer for anything fastener related. So, very common on these GRs is the OEM studs all around basically snap from on and off wheels. And you know, I had to battle this one when I was fixing it. Someone stripped out the stud on the spacer, so the stud on the spacer was spinning. But yeah, we're gonna be installing these, so let's get into it. Alright, so we got the brake bracket off. We also got the caliper hanging, and basically everything that's going to be blocking the studs off. We cleaned the hub because sometimes these rotors, they seize onto here, so I had to use a bolt to get it off. But yeah, this is basically where you're going to be trying to get to. So the caliper bracket has two 19 bolts, 19 millimeters, so you get that off. And then you also have 14s on the back of these calipers that mount to the bracket. So once you got all that set, we have it looped into the spring. We're going to be using a hammer to hammer these out, and then I'll show you the tool we're going to use to drive in the new studs. So, alright, hang tight. So now, we got all the studs out. They're right here. We just used the hammer, the sledge right here, hammer it out, and we also took the time to clean the hub. We had one of these brushes like from Harbor Freight and just went around the hub, kind of cleaned it, all the mating surface. It's not going to affect driving in this, but I wanted to clean all this because what happens is, like, let's say you're going to do a brake job, the rotor's stuck, you know what I mean? You can see the indentations from when I drive the 10 mil bolt through the holes in the rotor, through these holes. You can see it on the hub, you know, because that helps break off all this corrosion. So yeah, I was going over with a brush to, you know, loosen it up, but again, it's going to build up from braking all the time. The brake dust kind of goes everywhere. But yeah, so this is going to be how the front is done. You take apart the brake, the caliper, let it hang, hit these out. I hit them out. I line up the stud on this side because there's an opening for the stud to come out. Let me show you. So here's the stud, you know, so it can come out. So once I hit it, boom, it comes out here. Because if you're hitting it right behind here, it's going to hit that bolt that drives in the hub to mount it to the knuckle. So yeah, I kind of aim it over here, so boom, it comes out. Same way we're going to drive in the other studs, so let's get that going. And the tool you're going to use, this is like one of the best tools ever made by Lyle. Here's the part number. This is a wheel stud installer, so you can use pneumatic or power tools or hand, and I'll show you how to set this up. Alright, so here it is all set up. We have the tool on there. You know, because usually people kind of put a bunch of spacers to drive it in. I never did that, never liked doing that. So we got a lug nut, and here's the stud in, and then we're going to drive it in using our Milwaukee, the new stubby. And yeah, I'll show you once it's drove in. I can't really hold and film this, but you get the process. I'm going to hit this. This is a bearing in here, and it's just going to spin, and it's going to pull this in, and we're going to want to make sure it's flush. So here's how one corner looks. Here's all the studs driven in. They're all seated right behind the hub where they need to be. And look, there we go. We got all new ones that are going to be better and last longer than the OE. So yeah, you guys want to get yourself this tool. This thing makes it so much easier. And then I'm going to show you guys how to do the rear. So I'm going to go do the other side, not film it, just knock it out because it's going to be the same fronts. The rear is different because you have the axle and the e-brake assembly to kind of go around. Alright, so I already got ahead of myself, started doing the rear, so I'm going to show you what you got to do. Alright, so we're doing OEM length, so just remember that this is for OEM length. Also, this car is an automatic, so just keep that in mind. So we had to put the car in neutral, but we had to put it in neutral and I already had the caliper off. As you can see, it's hanging there. There's a little cover, if any of you guys are in this situation, right here by the park. You pop that off, put a screwdriver in there, and you can put it in neutral. So now that we did that, now we can spin the hub, you know, because we weren't able to, because it was in park. So I already knocked out one stud. I didn't have to unloosen the axle nut or loosen up the hub bolts so that the hub can make more clearance in between the e-brake assembly and the knuckle and whatnot. So I just hit it out again with the hammer, And then you just kind of finagle this and you kind of get it into this pocket, and then the stud will come out. So I'm gonna knock these out, and yeah, so if you do end up going extended, since they are longer, you have to loosen up the hub bolts so that the hub will come out more out of this assembly. And you also got to loosen up your axle nut so that the hub can come forward, so that you make more space in between here, because now they are longer. So let me finish up this and I'll show you. And also I was cleaning up the hub because it was so corroded and it was really hard to get the axle, or not the axle, the rotor off. So again, I used those holes for the screws. You can see this is where they made impact to break the mating off. But yeah, so we're gonna get into it. But yeah, see, already one's off. Yeah, so here we are, we're knocking out this one. There's a lot of space right here, so there you go. Now you're gonna want to turn it a little bit so you can get this out. And then there we go. So again, we're installing ARP OEM length, so we'll be able to get them in. If you're doing extended, you have to do what I said. So let me get ready to knock out the rest. So here we are, we completed that rear side. Ignore this, what are they called? Hub-centric ring. We have spacers on this car, but yeah, look at, they're all driven in. And like I said, this tool, let me get the container. This tool is what's gonna make all the difference. This Lyle 22800 wheel stud installer. You don't want to do it the old way where people have a bunch of spacers. It wastes too much time, and this is just one and done. It gets done super quick. And yeah, we did the rears, and we're gonna finish this up. And then be on his way. But yeah, they're pretty easy to do. As long as you have somewhat kind of power tool or something, it makes it super easy. Again, these are really known to break. The OEM lug nuts either break off, strip off. You go to a tire shop, they over torque them. Then let's say you get a flat, you got to deal with it, and then it's stripped, and then you're really, out of luck. But it definitely, it's how would you call it? It eases your mind knowing that your studs are good and you don't need to worry. Yeah, it's like, I would say, a maintenance mod. So make sure your wheel's on. You got really good brand studs, and they're made strong, and they're not like these. I remember, like, when I would service one of my buddies, he had the first gen FRS, and I was just taking a wheel off. 3 snapped. I'm like, oh my god. And it's just like, I don't know, it makes it a nightmare. You're like, okay, is every stud gonna snap or strip when I work on this car, or what's gonna happen? But yeah, she's sitting nice. It's got the iBox springs and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully this will help you out, and you can prepare if you're gonna do this, or if you're doing it for a customer car, you know what tools you need. All right, so we finished it. Everything went smooth on this end. No issues. Check this out. So here it is. I mean, you're not going to be able to see the upgraded studs, but they're all done. It's fairly simple. I'd rate it like out of 10, maybe like a 2 out of 10. I mean, you just got to take apart the brake caliper. Sometimes the rotors are seized, and then you may run into a stripped lug nut or something. But other than that, I mean, fairly simple, good mod. But yeah. If this helped you out, let me know. And yeah.